I was just a kid with no ambition or dreams. I was the perfect candidate to put in work for the streets. It all started when a doctor turned my parents to fiends. Oxy came into my city like a fucking disease. I seen the strongest of people get broken down to their knees. I'm talking mothers and fathers who never even smoke weed. A generation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ashes to Awesome podcast. Our podcast provides light, hope, and understanding about addictions and mental health to people living within that life and the people who love them. Today's episode is brought to you by Yacha Treatment Centers in Phuket, Thailand. They are a clinic run by clinicians, not a business run by businessmen. And they know that where addiction is the smoke, trauma is the fire. Learn more at yatracenters.com. That's yatracenter.com. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ashes to Awesome podcast. I'm your host, Chuck LaFlange, and with me in virtual studio today is Matt Keagan. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing very well, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to have you on. It's funny how we met virtually anyway, right? I'd seen that Benjamin Lerner had commented on one of your posts, you're having a rough day or whatever it was there. And I had no idea who you were at the time. I just, this poor guy, right? So I commented with something, kind of encouraging or whatever.
I remember.
And afterwards I was like, oh, wow, hey, look who I came across, right? So,
yeah. Well, small world. Wow, that was an interesting post for us to have connected on, man, because I was at a pretty low point, I was really struggling.
Well, hey, before we get into your story, what was going on that day? Why not, right? Let's,
I just, typically when I get sober, I kind of garner this expectation that I'm just going to feel good all the time. And, you know what I mean? There was like a 5-day stretch where I felt like crap every single day, and I just could not get around it, man. And like everybody thought I looked sick. My face was swollen up. My eyes were like swollen real bad. And I didn't know what was wrong. I was like, I haven't used anything in almost 6 months. Like, what is the problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just getting really frustrated. And I shared it because my sponsor, he tasked me with he said, you always share, when I first started this platform, he said, you always share the good. He said, I want you to start sharing the bad with the good, share the bad stuff. And I did. And it had a big effect. I didn't expect it to do anything like that at all. You know what I mean? And then, Benjamin reached out, and but I since have gotten past that. I've got through that. And, it always passes. That's the thing. It always passes. This too shall pass. That's real, because it does pass.
That's right. That's right. I know whenever I hear that cliche when I'm in it, it's like, piss off with that. But at the end of the day, right? It's easy to be grouchy when somebody says it to you, but it's so true, right? If you can just hold on to those words. So, yeah. Why don't we get into your story? I always like to, when people start, if you remember the first time you tried a substance.
So I was really against substances because I watched my mom abuse them growing up. She's a real bad alcoholic and put me in a lot of tumultuous situations. And tumultuous, I learned that word from Kalichi.
I like Kalichi. I love him. I've been trying to get him on for months. Right?
He's a busy man. He uses that song in Drug Addiction, Tumultuous. I've used it. Bad situations, So really against alcohol and drugs. And something happened, I was your typical little skater kid. Got really into like that whole movement, and I just started hanging out with like other kids in that area, and we started smoking cigarettes. And then I remember I had my first drink, alcohol. It was Mike's Hard Lemonade. I drank a 6-pack, and I was like 80 pounds, 90 pounds at like 15 or 14, and I fucking threw up everywhere. I puked everywhere. But I tell you, man, that first time I did it, the calmness, the effect that it had on me. Because I had anxiety my entire childhood. I had something in the pit of my stomach that separated me from everybody else, and a nervousness that I carried with me at all times because of just the eggshells I had to walk on at home. You know what I mean? So I always had this straight off rip, and alcohol took that away, and it just kind of it put me in this like zone. I could just be a real smooth operator like that,
So ultimately where I'm getting to with that line of questioning is, were you self-aware enough at the time, or was it with the benefit of hindsight that you realized what it was doing for you?
Absolutely no self-awareness at that time. I had a long way to go before I would understand any of that.
So that line's about 2/3 your answer, 1/3 the opposite. So
there you go.
When I'm asking people, so I'm always curious. That's where that question leads to, and then I just kind of stop and let you tell your story. So right?
It.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us where's it all start for you, and how do we get to where we are today?
Yeah, I like it. So right then and there, man, at that pinnacle point, started drinking, loved it. And then I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to do all the things now, you know? So then just like any other kid, you know, to start experimenting. And mind you, this is a vastly different landscape than what it is now. You know, nobody died from experimenting with drugs, you know?
Right.
I mean,
those
obviously
days are gone. Yeah.
there were, I mean, the worst story that you heard was the guy that took acid and thought he was a glass of orange juice. And if you bumped into him and knocked him over, you know, just the silly urban legends. So it wasn't nothing crazy, you know? So started around messing around with a little bit of alcohol, then some weed, and then some hallucinogens, and then a lot of robo tripping, like chugging Robitussin bottles, because that will make you trip balls if you drink a whole bottle of Robitussin.
Mine was gravel, 20 gravels. Right?
Oh,
Same
yeah?
thing though. Yeah,
Oh, up in there and can't. Okay, yeah.
Worse than anything I've ever done by far.
Hardest thing ever. Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's what. So mind you, I have anxiety, but that's not, all that stuff's making it go away. So I'm messing with all these different things, and I remember I took like 20 Dexalone pills, which is just dextromethorphan, like the thing that makes you trip, the active ingredient. And I took some acid, and it was Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon acid, and some real deal. Now
together you did these two things?
Yes, did them together, because that's what I have always done, is just mix every substance together, you know.
Wow.
But this is when I got stuck into like a perma-trip, you know. So now, if you know anything about acid, when you put acid on your tongue and paper, it takes like 45 minutes to take effect, maybe an hour. This stuff was on my tongue for like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and I felt like something was wrong. And I remember pulling the wad of paper out of my mouth, and I gave it to my friends. I was like, I don't know.
Wad of paper? Like, how much acid were you
It was 2 hits, and it was like that big, 2 big, thick pieces of hits that I was just chewing on. So, so I knew I was in trouble, man. That's when I had my first bad trip, and I just never came out of it. They ended up giving me like 1,000. I freaked out, ripped off all my clothes. I mean, just the run of the mill bad acid trip, but with the Dex. I never came out of it. Like even today, like if I look at like a floor, like I'll see the floor move, and you know what I mean. Like I see patterns move all the time. But I've since learned to live with it now. But back then, that would trip out my anxiety. Yeah. And some doctor saw fit to give me 2 milligrams of Xanax. You know, my mom was taking Xanax back then. I wouldn't leave my room. I wouldn't go to school. I was freaking out, and they took me to a doctor, and the doctor's like, oh yeah, he's just having some didn't ask me about my diet, didn't ask me, you know, what my home life was like, didn't teach me any breathing techniques. The first thing the doctor said was, here's 2 milligrams of Xanax a day.
And
didn't tell me that they were going to be addictive, didn't say nothing. Like it was just, I was on Xanax for the next 10 years of my life after that, you know.
Wow.
And that's what got me into prescription pills at that point.
And I'm sorry, you were how old at the time for this?
16,
and they're giving you Xanax
and Adderall.
Oh my God!
Because I'm on it, because I was a hyperactive kid, so they're feeding me amphetamines, which I'm abusing and selling and snorting, and you know I'm doing all this at a young age, and I ended up dropping out of school in the 7th grade, and my mom and dad had gotten back together. My dad had a big trucking company, big nice house, and I'd be like poor with my mom, but like middle class rich with my dad, and I would bounce back and forth between like welfare and dad and welfare and dad. Never stayed at the same school for longer than a year. Mom and dad get back together. And this is like in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, when the pill epidemic was just exploding. And they were getting insane amounts of pills. And that's how I became a drug dealer, is I would say, oh, you know, hey, Dad, I can go get 100 Percocet for $3, for $10 a piece, when they're really $3. So he'd give me $100 bills. I'd keep 7. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was a never-ending flow of these pills, and that's what really got me into things. And I became a real big pill head, and just threw all kinds of crazy parties at my house. And you know what I mean? That was it. That was what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go. I had no dreams of a future, no aspirations. I just wanted to throw the coolest parties, and I threw some pretty wicked parties, man. You know, that was like that's where I wanted to be in life. You know. And it's crazy. But like I said, man, it's so crazy to think about back then, because you know how we used to identify the pills is we would send a text message to poison control, which was like 111 was the poison control's text, and it would have the engravements of the pill. So if the pill said like M357 on it, and then you would just text white oblong pill M357, and then we'd text and be like, oh, and we'd come back hydrocodone 300, 5 milligrams, 356.
Wow,
and that's what the pill would be. I would
now. Of course, you got websites for that, right? But like,
but just to think about, how crazy the fake pills are now. Like it used to be so loose back then that like there would be like you know, thousands of dollars riding on a text back from fucking poison control center. That's how you'd find out if it's a real pill or not. You know, it's so crazy to think about. You know, I'd be sitting somewhere in like Toledo in like a nasty neighborhood with like some nefarious characters in my car, and like I'm about to hand them a stack of money and they're gonna hand me a stack of pills, but we gotta text this number. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, man, like that was a lot of like what I got involved with, you know, and then I just started selling pills pretty heavy, man, and there was a never-ending supply. And that's why a lot of what my platform focuses on today is like holding these companies accountable for that, because it's like we prosecuted the doctors, we prosecuted the people, but we never prosecuted the companies that produced these millions of pills. How is it okay that they produced millions of pills and
put out all that false information and the false studies and all the things, right? Like I don't think anybody really realizes the. I know I've seen your reels. I know what I'm doing when I say that. So, right? But I don't think anybody really understands. I don't think a lot of people understand what happened until you watch a movie like Painkiller or The Pharmacist or one of these movies. For me, it was the same thing. I had no real understanding of what had happened there with the Purdue's and you know, that type of thing. And oh man, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, and people will argue with me too, and they'll say, "Oh, Purdue, you know what? It wasn't just Purdue. You know, there were endless. Every single company was cashing in on this epidemic. It wasn't just Purdue. They were all doing it, because I, as somebody who sold pills, I could sell you 5 different versions of a Percocet, 5 different versions of a Oxycontin, 5 different versions of an Opana. You know what I mean? The generic versions, the knockout versions. Everybody was profiting from this. And for me, it's like, you're right. They bought and paid for those studies. So when somebody comes to me today and they says, "Oh, this was peer reviewed," it's like, they pay for those, bud. It goes to the highest bidder, and they've been doing that for 2 decades, probably longer. And it's just like, I can't trust these companies, and I have a deep mistrust for these companies, because I was in the thick of that. I was there. I was in the middle of all that, and I seen the way doctors were weaponized against the people. Where once you used to go to a doctor to get fixed, and now doctors, they're just there to prescribe a medication. Now, you know what I mean? Like if I were to have a broken bone or need surgery, a doctor. But when it comes to like getting my health in order, I don't trust doctors at all, because the medicine that their whole curriculum is taught and funded by these companies that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And so with the newest response to all the new stuff that's happening, I'm very critical to all of it, because of like what happened in the 2000s. So, you know, I'm all for, you know, and I really want to clarify this. I clarify this everywhere I go. I'm all for MAT. I am all for medically assisted treatment. I respect everybody's pathway to recovery. If somebody is no longer shooting fentanyl on their neck and they're taking 2 milligrams of Suboxone a day, I respect your recovery. I'm glad you're alive. I would rather you be alive than dead, right?
Absolutely. But I often say, if your life is getting better, then you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Whatever that is for you, right?
But what I will not stand for is we're not going to call it the gold standard of addiction, and people who've never been addicted to something are not going to espouse that, because you're not going to tell me another addictive to opioid, by the way, that you can get high off of, is the gold standard to opioid addiction. Are you out of your mind? What are you talking about? Now, people are saying it has such a high success rate. Yeah, because it's another opiate. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're saying, "Oh, well, it's not abusive," and they take. Yeah, if I took the same milligram of Oxy every day, it would stop getting me high after like 30 days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Suboxone for me, when I was in prison, the most highly abused drug in prison, Suboxone. The most easiest one to get in, because it's the tiny little strips. You don't got to worry about a big bag. You know what I mean? You can get 60, 70 strips up somebody's butt and bring it in there, and you know what I mean? You got you got a lot of money on your hands. You know what I mean? And honestly, Suboxone's got legs. I would buy a 5-piece, put it in a chapstick cap, snort it, be high all day, because I'm sober. I haven't done anything. I'm in prison. I'm not abusing pills on the street. I hadn't done anything, got high in, months. When I did that little piece of sub, I'd be high all day. Has a very high potential for abuse, So again, and people get so upset and hurt when I tell that truth, and because that's the medicine that they take to save their life. And it's like, I understand it saved your life, and again, I'm glad that it has. I'm glad that it's available for you. But for a lot of us, we've abused it, It gets us high. It makes us miserable. You don't know how many people reach out to me saying, I wish I could get off this medication, but it's got me so wrapped up. And then those same people that will defend Suboxone to the death forget about the methadone conversation. Methadone is 10 times worse. You know what I mean? And not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with anybody who takes it, but go ahead and miss your dose for a day, miss your dose for a day and come talk to me and tell me that they ain't got hooks in you. And my question is, with all the advances in medical science and all where we're at in this brave new world, you're going to tell me they can't develop something that helps wean you off opiates that's not addictive like opiates?
Yeah, right.
Just seems like a cash grab to me. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. Yeah.
So there's my tangent on that.
All right.
I go on tangents. Feel free to interrupt and stop me because
I'm not shy. I'll interrupt, but I was kind of expecting this tangent, so it's we've got that now.
Good.
I was absolutely waiting for that one. So
great.
Yeah. And I can't say I disagree. At the end of the day, it's one of the tools in the toolbox, but it can't be the only tool. Right?
Yeah,
most certainly. And
sure.
And again, in my mind,
when I first started the show, we were audio only because of my broken smile. Due to an act of violence, I couldn't bear to see myself on camera or in a mirror. My self-esteem was shattered, and it was painful to relive the violence whenever I saw my broken smile. Things had changed. The podcast was taking off. My friends and family had welcomed me back. I had my sobriety. My mental health should have been improving, but there were days when I couldn't face myself in the mirror or on camera. The pain was just overwhelming. Then I discovered dentkids.com, and in just 3 short weeks, my life transformed. They sent me the molds, I followed their instructions, I sent them back. What I received was a quality denture that fixed my smile, all at a fraction of the cost of traditional dentures. The most expensive product is just under $600, and the prices only go down from there. So if you have a loved one who is in recovery from addiction and needs your smile back, or if you need to fix your smile, I highly recommend checking out dentkids.com. I'm proud to be an ambassador for this product. Thanks for listening, guys. Now back to the show.
Yeah, most certainly. And
sure.
And again, in my mind, if your life is getting better, whatever path you're on is the right path for you.
100%.
Figure it out from there, right?
Yes.
Right? If you're not homeless and well, all the things that come along with a serious addiction problem. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Holding a job down, you're a better person in the community, you're active, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that,
Exactly.
but I just don't think it should be for everybody, and that's kind of what they're coining this as, is they want it for everybody. They want it, that's what that's called in Harvard. It's called the gold standard to a substance abuse disorder, and that's kind of like the mainstream understanding of it. And it's like, well, you should also talk about the downsides of it. You just it robs you of your libido. A lot of people feel like they're walking around in shells after being on this for so long. A lot of people are losing teeth. There's downsides to it. Like, show me the studies that we've seen people be on this for their lifetimes, and you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is a relatively new thing,
And that's the thing. If there's an end to it, and I get they have to, there's a weird scale that has to happen with methadone and Suboxone and all that, and the doses go up, but they're supposed to taper off. Well, I think what's stopped recently is the end to it. When I first became aware of MAT, it was a start and an end, and now it's, and maybe I didn't understand it back then the way that I understand it now, but now it's like, okay, well, here you're on it.
Yep, for life.
Then that's it. That's where the conversation stops, right?
Yep,
and that's kind of where I have a problem with it, right?
Absolutely.
Right? So
again, too, these guys are cashing in now more than ever.
More
than ever, because Suboxone is very lightly regulated, and you can just get it on the internet. You can do telehealth now, and I know multiple people running game on that right now. Multiple people trumping up how much they use to get prescribed 3/8 a day. There's such a overabundance of Suboxone that all the other med pills, all that stuff has went up immensely, except for Suboxone, because there's such a crazy supply of it. Suboxone's still $20. Spend $20 for 15 years.
No kidding, eh? No kidding, right? Jeez, man. Jeez. So anyway, back to your story.
Yeah.
So where were we on that one?
We're at my house. We're at the house on 101. We call it the 101
having the crazy parties. Yeah.
Having the crazy parties, big. I went to school in 2 different cities, so I would have friends from 2 different cities, and they would just come and just big fights would erupt. There'd be 100 people at this house. My mom and dad are high on pills, haven't left their room in 3 days. I'm having 150 people upstairs in this house, wrecking the house, putting holes in the wall, ripping out fixtures. I mean, just trashing this house. My dad built from the ground up,
Wow.
Yes, and the amends I'm certainly going to have to make in the future. But, they did drugs with me. My mom and dad got high with me. It just turned into this whole thing where they would party with us, and You know, they would get in on the fight. Some people like challenged my dad. I remember one time my dad took his plow truck and smashed it into somebody's car who parked in our front yard and pushed their car out in the fucking street. And like, you know, just yeah, I mean, shooting guns off, you know what I mean? Like it was just it was wild, you know, but that was normal for me. I was comfortable in that space. Couldn't imagine living any other way, you know?
Yep.
And it was cool to be that guy, you know. I relished that. I wanted to be the man, you know.
Yeah.
And then I got involved in some bands, started being a drummer, got in death metal bands. Wanted to be a death metal drummer. We'd go pack out shows, you know, a bunch of people come watch us play. We'd play in Cleveland, Toledo, Sandusky, open up for some pretty big names as like just some kids trying to put it together, because I didn't listen to rap. I would not let you couldn't come to my parties and play rap. I'd throw the CDs out.
I was curious to see where that changed, eh?
You're coming to listen to Cradle of Filth or Oceano or Slipknot. I was huge into Slipknot back then, man. Obsessed with Joey Jordison. And you know, that was that's when it was good, because everybody has that talk when they talk about, you know, at one point it was good, and it was. Nobody was doing heroin, nobody was doing meth. Those are gross drugs. We looked at people who did that as they were gross. They weren't allowed around. We didn't want nasty people like that coming around. Nobody did stuff like that. And that's where this great thing happened. These companies just turned everybody into the. I really think they played such a huge role, because had there not been that welcoming committee to opioids, where they made opiates almost seem
mainstream.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. They made it seem mainstream. That's what opened the door to let heroin and fentanyl in. Fentanyl would never have made the impact that it made had we not had Oxycontin, oxycodone, and all that stuff.
Oh, there's no way. No, you're right.
You know what I mean? Because who would have been able to make that jump to just everybody doing fentanyl? But so many people, you know, it's like a line in my song. There's like, parents who never smoked weed, or, you know, they went to their doctor with a hurt back and the doctor turned them out. The doctor thought they were helping, you know, because the doctor was given wrong information too. And, you know, I know so many parents who never did drugs their whole lives, and they went to a doctor, and that's what led them to becoming the people that they are, you know? So slowly that happened over time, you know what I mean? Slowly the parties started getting a little less bright and fun, and it just really became more and more about the drugs, and the drugs began to change. And then meth started coming around, you know what I mean?
So do you remember, Matt?
Yeah.
Do you remember a moment in time? And so for myself, I remember one day waking up and going, what the fuck, man? Like, what happened? Where am I? Like, how did this happen? And not even really realizing that slow progression. Did you ever have one of those, oh shit, here we are? Or
I was in a basement smoking heroin off of foil, and I had an aha moment where it came to me, and I was like, what the fuck is this is a dirty basement. I'm down here with some dirty folks. We're going to buy crack after this. Like, what happened? Because we only do, like, I remember I used to say, I only do good drugs. I don't do fucking those nasty. I'll only snort ketamine and take acid and take Molly and take Xanax and pop Percocet. I don't do those other bad drugs.
See, and I was on the other side of it, right? Like pills. Oh fuck, man, that's no way, right?
Really?
I don't want nothing to do with that, right? So
yeah, of course.
Here we are, opposite sides of the street, right? So,
Yep. Same outcome though, you know.
Damn straight.
So it became that space. Then I got involved in music festivals. I'm not sure what all music festivals you guys got up there, but we got some pretty big ones here, like dubstep, electronic music, Electric Forest, Lost Lands. Ohio and Michigan are big for them, but you can walk in there and sell drugs like crazy. That's what I got involved in. And I was pretty much a poser. I would just dress like Hunter S. Thompson and carry around a briefcase full of drugs, you know, and just think that it was fucking stupid. It's so cringy. There's pictures of me dressed like Hunter S. Thompson with the cigarette. And I watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas once, and then I was like, all right, now I just have to do all the drugs. Trash hotels, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, emulated that, got involved, started running around with this heavy guy, got plugged in with this guy, and this guy got weight. This guy moved weight, like real big weight. Yeah. And
what a feeling that is, eh? When you meet that guy, and you're like, right. I got the connect, right?
I thought I was, I was coming back home thinking I was, you know, just pulling out ridiculously large bags in front of people, just you know, insecure, very insecure,
flexing with your bags of death, right?
Yep,
you know,
absolutely. And it's funny now that you know, you get that understanding, you know. But I can tell you this I can tell you, and even in all that, even in that lowest space, I never sold fentanyl. I would not sell fentanyl. Fentanyl killed my friend Robbie way back in 2014, and I would not fuck with it. I did not do fentanyl. You know, I didn't like it. I hated it. It was a terrible buzz. You know, I'm a traditionalist. I like regular opioids. I do not like fentanyl. There's just nothing fun to me being like, oh, am I literally about to die? Because that's what it felt like. I did it twice, and I felt like I was going to die both times. I had a panic attack, and it was awful. So I never sold it, never pushed it, you know, and would chastise and not fuck with people who did. I hated people who pushed it because it's just, you're selling death. You know what I mean? Like if you sell a fake pill to somebody who's been clean for a while and it kills them, I got a problem with you. I got a big problem with you because I've lost a lot of friends that way. And I never stepped on that. You know what I mean? But again, there was like my mentality that, oh, I only sell good drugs. I only sell mind expanding drugs like acid and ketamine and just regular pills that don't kill people. It was a sick mentality that I had that still caused people a lot of harm. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny the things that we justify. So I'm in that phase where I believe that I'm only doing good things by expanding people's minds with ketamine and blah, blah, fucking blah. I'm running around as a little festy kid, and we end up running some stuff up to Michigan, and we got popped by a SWAT team, and the whole thing was a setup. They were setting my dude up. I wasn't even like known to be anybody or anything because you know my dude was a heavy hitter, and we got hit in Michigan, got yanked out by the SWAT team, runs up on us, and we were looking at some time. But he actually tried taking the fall for everything. And it was because he wanted me to get back out and keep running things. You know what I mean? Because just how calm he was. We were looking at 2 to 20 years, man. And I'm pretty sure I don't want to go into it. I'm pretty sure this guy was some type of high level fed because he was not panicked. You know what I mean? And he had gotten out of some other big trouble before. And then he went on to get on some other really big trouble again. Like he got caught dead to rights after being on parole for what we did in Michigan, and he still walked. So I don't know what was it like. He was he was spooky, man, just to say the least. But we ended up getting 2 to 20, and the way that works is if it's I've never been in trouble before, so it was my first charge ever. And the way that works is Michigan, if it's your first felony and your judge agrees to it, and your minimum's 2 years, they'll give you something called boot camp, and it's a 90-day program, and it's really intensive, it's really hard, but you get to go home, you know. So I ended up doing about 2 years total with everything, and the judge, everything lined up perfectly. We had a judge that had just come from family court. As a nice, like 40-year-old woman instead of some 60-year-old man who was killing people. There's people going to do 10 years, you know, 5 years for what we had, you know. But the judge was super cool. She let us go through with the boot camp, 2 to 20, and we went and did our time. You still got to go to prison. You still got to go. And I'd never been to jail or prison before, and I'm in Michigan, outside of Detroit.
Hi, everybody. This is Carl with today's public service announcement about naloxone, or, as it's more commonly known, Narcan, a medication that can help save the life of somebody experiencing an opioid overdose. Did you know that in 2021, opioids were responsible for over 7,000 deaths in Canada and 106,000 deaths in the United States? These numbers are staggering, but there is hope. Narcan is a medication that can reverse the effects of an opioid overdose and help save a life. Narcan is available for free at participating pharmacies and harm reduction centers across Canada, and is also available without a prescription at most pharmacies in the United States. Now, I know most of you won't be around people using opioids, but you never know when it will be around you, and you could save the life of someone who is loved and who loves.
So it was a bit of a culture shock. It was a bit of a wake-up call, you know.
How was that for you? How was it when you walk in?
Absolutely terrifying. And mind you, I'd been on benzos for 10 years, and I had been manipulating doctors, and I had been buying scripts, and I've been taking 2 to 5 milligrams a day of either Xanax or Klonopin or Valium. Yeah. I did not go without Xanax because my panic attacks were bad, man. Like I would have really severe panic attacks. Like to the point where if I did Coke, I'd have a panic attack. I'd have to do Xanax. I was weird, you know, but like I was one of the people that like if I did Xanax, I would get up and like clean my house. Like it would give me energy. I would want to go out and like go do something. You know what I mean? It was strange. Xanax really took well to me just because it quieted all that anxiety. I had anxiety my whole life, you know? So I get to prison and even though I have 2 prescriptions for benzos, they don't give you Xanax in jail. They give you Depakote, and they put you in a paper suit in an observation room in a dungeon in the basement, and they watch you for 3 days and make sure you don't die from a seizure, and then you're off Xanax. So that's what happened, man. So I had to go through this whole experience while coming off of Xanax for the first time in 10 years, you know?
Wow.
And, I mean, talk about panic attacks and fear, but you can't show it, and you can't go tell them, you can't go tell the guard, I'm having a panic attack. Can you help me?
No,
They
you
don't give
cannot.
a
No.
fuck. They do not care. You go tell them that, they're gonna have medical come get you, and medical is not. You don't want to go to medical when you're in the joint.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's how it started out for me, man. That's how I became on my journey of facing anxiety and beating it. And I share a lot of this with people now because a lot of people, I was having panic attacks before anxiety and panic attacks and Xanax became trendy. My first panic attack was in 2006. I would go sit outside of a hospital thinking I was going to die. You know what I mean? I had all these weird little things that I had to do with what I had going on. You know what I mean? I always had to make sure that like I had to have a Xanax. If I didn't have a Xanax, I'd have a panic attack just because I couldn't get to one. Because my mind would be like, what if I have a panic attack and I don't have a Xanax?
Yeah.
So,
right. So it turns into a snake eating its tail kind of thing, right?
Always, and that's how my mind was all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to sit with this stuff, man, and I did. I sat with it, and I got this piece of paper that taught you breathing techniques, diaphragm breathing techniques. So when the panic attack would come, and I would be convinced I was going to die, I'd go lay on my bunk, breathe into my stomach, breathe into my chest, breathe out slowly, and then I would just do circles of that. And lo and behold, dude, that would calm me down more than a pill would. You know what I mean? Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and I tell this people all the time, like, call me when you're having a panic attack, and let's do these breathing techniques together. I will help you breathe you can breathe your way through a panic attack. You don't need the medicine. Medicine's addictive,
right.
And then guess what the withdrawal is? Panic attacks from the medicine. You know what I'm saying?
So
Weird how that works. Funny how that works. So ended up fighting, going through my anxiety, got through it, ended up being in a prison death metal band. I got messed with a whole lot, but I'm a death metal drummer, right? So I ended up joining this white supremacist death metal band. And don't get it twisted, bro. I'm not a white supremacist, but like when you go into prison, whites go with whites. You're segregated. I don't make the rules, bro. That's where I was at, and those were the rules
survive,
of the
right?
land. You know what I'm saying? But they were Odinists. They weren't like hardcore. They just believed in Odin and the hammer and stuff like that. And I didn't have to do any work or anything like that. I just thought I thought it was interesting. It was a really stupid way to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, dude. They were whatever. They took care of me.
Survive,
made sure I didn't get jumped and. Because I got fucked with because I was brand new and I did not have any gang affiliations. So when you come in and you're brand new and you don't have any gang affiliations and you're white in Michigan, A, you're the minority, and B, you got problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd never been before. I don't know nothing. I was brand new. So, and I'm going through benzo withdrawals, so I'm terrified. The whole time. Wish I could tell you that I was brave, but I was not. I was terrified. But I went through it, got in the band, did really well with them, and ended up getting pulled out for boot camp. Boot camp finally came, man. I couldn't get out of there fast enough, dude. And I'll tell you, after seeing that, what the result was for dealing and running around and being a cowboy, I didn't want to do it no more. You know what I mean? Because then you're just gonna go out there and you're gonna be with your race and you're gonna play king of the picnic tables. You know what I mean? That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna go out to the prison yard and you're gonna guard a picnic table and you're gonna yell at anybody who comes close because that's literally the only power that you got. And I didn't want that, I didn't want that. That scared the shit out of me. And I was like, I'll never do this again. I never want to do this again. That was back in 2016. I have not gotten in trouble since, that really scared me absolutely straight. It's almost been 10 years since that's happened, 7 years.
Yep.
So I get out, mind you though, I'm not going to play illegally anymore. And plus fentanyl is really starting to take over everything now. That's when like the fake pills come out. Cause it used to be, I could spot a fake pill. As a pill pioneer, I could look at a fake pill from a mile away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could tell.
Yeah.
I could literally just bite into it like a piece of gold and be like, oh, that's fake. But and then it got really convincing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it became like I couldn't tell the difference. And
the shady 80s here was their first big dose of that. They're supposed to be perks, but they were green. 80. I don't. I'm never a pill guy, but I remember the shady 80s coming, and that was our first big dose.
Shady
of fentanyl
80s. We call them the dirty 30s over here.
Okay.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny, dude. But well, not funny, but But anyways, so fucking, I just decided, oh well, I got a job at a factory. I got good insurance. I was like, I'm gonna go just get everything prescribed to me, man. So I did some research on some doctors. I found some loose ones. This guy had some cases from back. I did my due diligence, and I ended up finding out. Before I know it, I go see this doctor. I'm prescribed 6 different things. I'm back on Adderall. I'm on not Vistarol. I'm on Vicodin for my back. I'm taking Ambien to sleep at night. I'm taking What's those ones? They're called Johnnies. They're a nerve pill. Man,
no, yeah.
man, I can't believe I can't think of a name, but they're very easily abused now. They're huge in the recovery community because you can't really. Anyways, so I'm taking a whole bunch of stuff from the doctor, and then I ended up discovering kratom, and
Okay.
kratom is a godsend for some people because it gets them out of the jaws of big pharma. But for somebody like me who's abused opiates the whole time, Neurontin, the drug was called Neurontin. It's called Neurontin.
Okay. Never heard of it. Yeah. Gabby's. Yes.
Crazy abuse for it.
I
I was taking like 2,500 milligrams a day. I was prescribed. I talked this doctor into giving me. It was out of control. But get on kratom too. So I add kratom to the mix of those like 6 different prescriptions I'm taking and abusing. And then with the kratom, of course, I just go balls to the wall and start abusing the shit out of it. And then before I know it, I have to take the kratom like every 3 or 4 hours, or I go into opioid withdrawal, like nasty opioid withdrawal. Mind you, I'm taking giant spoonfuls of it and abusing the crap out of it. You know what I mean? But that's what I do. I'm an addict. You know what I mean? Like I don't have that switch. I don't have that off switch that says, I'll just enjoy this every once in a while. No big deal. Like it's like,
me neither. I get you.
It's like it feels good. Let's feel good all the time.
Yeah. Double down, triple down, quadruple down. Right?
Yep. Endlessly, forever, till it's gone, and then more, and then figure it out. So, but the thing with kratom is you can buy it by the kilo for relatively cheap, $100-$200, and you don't have to run out. And this was before kratom got as big as it is now here in the States. I would have to go to CVS and send these really shady money transfers over to some guy in Indonesia, some doctor I ended up getting plugged in with, and he would send me these really shady looking packages, but it was powder, and it made, it got me off a little bit like an opioid, but not really. It just kind of gave me energy, made me feel good. But man, the downsides, the addiction is nasty. So on all these things, ended up saying, I can't do this anymore. I know a guy who has a social media presence like what I have now, and he was kind of like the inspiration of what gave me inspired me to do what I'm doing now. I watched him do it from my hometown. His name was Richie. Super solid dude. And I just really liked what he did, man. And he helped people, and that's what he got to do, and it was awesome. And he ended up helping me, sent me to Florida.
Okay.
And that's when I came in contact with my first Florida recovery, and finally decided to collapse and do the 12 steps because I was so miserable and just so desperate. And again, that moment came back of how did I fucking end up here again? No, I'm not doing hard drugs. I'm not smoking crack. I'm not doing fentanyl. I'm not out there doing meth. But I'm doing all these other things that are robbing me of a good life.
The following is a national emergency.
A new study out shows there may be gross underreporting of opioid-related deaths.
Meaning the opioid crisis, overdose deaths have been caused by a toxic supply of street drugs.
Devastating effects on families and communities across this country.
One Canadian dies approximately every 53 minutes to overdose. That's 27 deaths every day and 837 deaths each month. That makes 405% more deaths to overdose than car accidents in 2022. Are you listening now? So who does this affect? Everyone from pro athletes to celebrities to business people and kids. This crisis affects us all, with 77% of overdoses happening in people's homes. So how did we get here?
These drugs were designed to ease pain, but their overuse has caused hundreds of thousands of Canadians to become addicted.
Most addictions begin with prescription opiates, but later shift to unregulated substances like heroin and fentanyl due to availability and cost. This is a huge problem.
The vast majority of overdose deaths are caused by a toxic street drug supply.
The National Overdose Response Service is a 24-hour phone line providing anonymous support for substance users. NORS will co-create safety plans, dispatch EMS, or contact someone to administer naloxone without involving EMS. Please don't use alone. If using in the USA, please call Never Use Alone and download the Brave app.
Happy life, you know what I mean? And that's just what it does. That's how it does. That's just what substances do to me. I can't successfully use a single substance. So I go to Florida, I go to rehab, have the worst detox in my life. I didn't sleep for a week, man. It was insane. I'll never forget it. And you would think that would be enough, going through that terrible
Some
detox.
people might think that. Right?
You would think that, right? You would think, all right, lesson learned, right?
Yeah.
But go through the 12 steps, have a great time, man. I start writing rap songs. Now, I'd listen to NF and Eminem and like, you know, like ICP, but like nothing, I never really got into rap like that. You know what I mean? I was always listening to rock and death metal and you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But I was really into NF, really into Eminem. And my girlfriend at the time, my ex-fiance was like, you know, she's like, I think you should write music. You should do some rap songs. Cause I used to like rap, like freestyle when I was high at parties. I started doing that randomly, but I was the annoying guy that would just come up to you and start freestyling. You know what I mean? Like that would just be really tweaked off Adderall or something and just wouldn't shut the fuck up. Like I was that dude. But I was kind of wordy with it, and I would impress people would listen. You know what I mean? People would listen. Like people thought, you know, sometimes. Other times people would be like, all right, Matt, spend 3 hours at 6 o'clock in the morning. Shut the fuck up. You know? And, you know, so I start writing. And I never could write unless I was high or on drugs. But I was sober. And then I ended up writing my first hip-hop song. And I showed it to people in rehab, and just the reaction I got was, it was like, they were like, wow, they're like, that's actually really fucking good. And I ended
what
up,
song was that? Is that something we can find now?
Can't find it. Well, it's on my YouTube of me just rapping it in like a theater. It's not very good, you know. All the earlier songs on my YouTube are not very good. It's just me rapping over like a beat, like somebody playing off a speaker. But it was called Demons Inside, and it was like my first foray into it. Then I ended up writing this other song called One Day, a song to my daughter, and I sent it into America's Got Talent. They ended up reaching out to me and had me come in to do an audition. So, you know, I'm working recovery, I'm doing the steps, I'm in Florida, I get this really fancy, snazzy job as a waiter at this really nice restaurant called the Wine Room. It was awesome, great experience. Atlantic Avenue, right downtown in Delray. I mean, just seeing this whole other life I've never experienced. I've never been out of Ohio, you know what I mean? So I go and try out. They asked me to share a fun fact. The tryouts go super good, bro. Like, I do the first one, they send us all out of the room, they call me back in by myself, and they're like, all right, you're advancing on to the next one. So we go on to another one, and they're like, all right, do everything you just did, but do it again, you're on camera now, and then you get through this one, the next one, you're going to see the judges. I'm like, all right, sweet. And they're like, dude, the guy told me flat out, you got what it takes to be on the show, you are a shoo-in, you're going to be able to do this, go ahead. So I do the thing, knock the audition out the park again, and they say, all right, I'd like for you to share a fun fact about yourself. And my fun fact I chose to share was, I used to be a drug dealer, and I just went to my mom and visited my mother in prison, who was also a drug dealer, and I performed these songs for her. And needless to say, I did not make it to the next audition, and I did not get a call back, and that was it. But
it's a stigma, right?
But I thought, yeah, for sure. I mean, on their family-friendly program, they probably didn't want a drug dealer who was going to see his mother. I thought it was inspiring, like, you know, like I just wanted,
as it should be, right.
Yeah, and like my mom in prison were watching my videos on YouTube. Like they were having classes on my lyrics because I would like rap the song and put the lyrics up. They would print the lyrics off and have classes on the lyrics about, you know, what mothers have done, you know, just the experience, the perspective of a son and his mother in addiction.
Of course, right? Yeah.
So I got invited to my mom's prison to go do a lead and perform there, and it was like in front of 400 women. I rapped that song, you know. So it was crazy, dude. And I'm like, all right, I'm all gassed up from that. But they didn't tell me no immediately. They said we'll be in touch. So I'm thinking, so I'm going full bore. I'm writing songs, practicing, going to every open mic I can go to, and I have no platform yet, you know. I just have a personal Facebook page and a YouTube that I post on, you know. And then 2020 happens, and then I end up leaving Florida, coming back home, and on my way driving back home, thinking that the world's ending. I'm like, I better go spend $400 on kratom extract on this head shop, because I'm like, I'm looking up head shops in different states, driving home, looking for all the best kratom, you know, because I'm like, all right, screw it, I'm gonna relapse. So that's what happened. I relapsed and I moved back into my grandma's. And then I ended up being eligible for that $800 a week in unemployment that happened.
Yeah, we had something similar up here too. Yeah.
Boy, that was so about 15 grand.
Drug addict lottery, that was right.
Yeah, 15 grand. Yeah, hit the lottery, and then instead of doing anything meaningful with it, I ran through it, and I went through one of the worst runs ever. You know, I ended up going out to this place in the woods where you could just. It was like a music festival place, and we just got for weeks, because every week there'd be another $800 check. It was like the most money I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? And pissed all of it away, and put out a couple songs in the middle of that, but I'm not produced or nothing like that. I'm not on Spotify. I just would rap a song, put it on YouTube, share it on my Facebook, get like 100 likes, and think I was the shit.
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah.
you know, so it wasn't even that good. I don't even know how it got. God, man, is the only way I can talk about it. So I go to rehab for, again, here in Ohio, and I end up, this is where the story gets interesting. From here, as I plug in, I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the steps. I'm going to find the most hardcore, old school AA bastard I can find. We're going to go through the steps. So I find that guy, and that guy, his name was Steve, man. He was such a big fucking part of helping me change. Now, mind you, I still have a sponsor from the first time I went through the steps. I still talk to that sponsor. I still talk to both of them still to this day. But from 2019, the first guy that took me through the steps is Matt. Huge, instrumental in changing my life, 100%. And he changed it in this way, right? So I find this other sponsor, Steve, and he's molding me in this other way, where he taught me how to be like a better father. He helped me establish a real, true relationship with God, you know, a God of my understanding, which I call the God from the Bible. And, you know, we took about a year to go through the steps. We ended up going through them twice because I didn't get it the first time. So we went back through, and I mean, we really meticulously went through the steps, and I showed up to his house every single week. We did sponsor time every single week. Every time he asked me to do something, I did what he asked. I got a home group. I started making meetings. I started fellowshipping. A lot of the guys had a problem with me in the fellowship because I shared my recovery on the internet. So it took a long time. A lot of people to want to be a part of like what you know what I mean? I kind of I was rejected and outcasted for a little bit, but they're all riding now, dude. They all believe in me now. You know, suddenly, right? Crazy. They all watch my videos and tell me great job now. But back then, they gave me a lot of shit for doing.
Oh, I knew him when right?
Yeah, absolutely. They gave me a bunch of shit, and I thought.
Hey guys, you know I hate to interrupt, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you to check out the swag shop on our website. That's www.a2apodcast.com/swag. Got all sorts of new hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops, anything you can think of really good. And if we don't have what you're looking for, just drop me a line. Customization is absolutely free. And you can DM me on any of the social medias or email me at asheswapspodcast@gmail.com. Check it out. We love to see people wearing our swag, and it helps to get the message out. Thanks, guys. Now back to the show.
I felt like an outcast, man. I felt like I couldn't fit anywhere, and that's a theme that I've always had. Is I just felt like I can't fit in anywhere, and I've moved all over trying to run from that. Oh, this city ain't right for me. I'm gonna go here. Oh, this place doesn't work. I'm gonna go there. That's when I found out it's me. I'm the cause of all this
common denominator, right? Yeah.
I am the common denominator in all these issues. It's me, and so I went through that first time. Mind you. I have a daughter in all this. It's always hard for me to snake her into the story. I kind of missed that part. Rewinding, had a daughter, wanted nothing to do with her, did everything I could to run away from that being a father. Tried saying that the mother had it with somebody else. We took a DNA test. It was like 99.9. That kid was mine, but I didn't want nothing to do with it. But after her first year, I ended up establishing child support and, just trying my best to be there. But, I was a hopeful dad, but most of the time I would like get my daughter just so I can like post cute pictures on Facebook and pull girls, you know what I mean? So, and I'll be honest with you, and then I ended up going to prison. So it wasn't until after I got out of prison, and then I went to, I relapsed, went to Florida, came back, and then I went into detox again. Then I got the old school sponsor. That's when I started building a relationship with her. She's about 5 or 6 at this time. And I when I say I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there. I pick her up every time. I don't miss. I do. I'm putting together birthday parties for her. Build a real relationship with her. It's taken a long time to cultivate that, and she lives with her grandma. So in this time, her mom ends up passing away from an overdose or from something. Yeah, she loses her mom. She hadn't had contact with her in a few years. She hadn't seen her because her mom had gotten lost in addiction too. So she just had a hard life. So I'm trying to do everything I can to be everything there for as much as possible. A lot of like what I was doing in that time was geared around like being the best dad I can be and learning. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I do. And then in the meantime, I'm building the platform. I'm putting videos out. That's when I put out my first TikTok and made my first TikTok and went viral. It did like 150,000 views. The very first one I put out.
Oof, wow. I still haven't cracked 1,000. I still haven't cracked 1,000 on anything.
Yeah, the very first video, it was like it was a video of me like in active addiction, 2 pictures, and then like me with my daughter, and then like a thing I did for her birthday. I hired Elsa, like a woman to play Elsa, and then have this big birthday party at the sober club that I was working with. I'd helped start a sober club that I was a part of.
Okay.
So, for me, it was just being active in the community, working with other people, you know what I mean? Holding myself accountable, calling a sponsor every day, working on a relationship, establishing a relationship with a higher power. Like, these are the things that like supercharge my recovery. Like I have to do those things. Like, if I just go sit by myself, I'm going to relapse, which is what I went and found. Right. So the TikTok starts blowing up. I start putting these rap songs that I've been sitting on for a while on there, just me rapping in the car. And they start doing numbers, man. 250,000 views, 250,000 views, 500,000 views. You know what I mean? And then start playing with it, and all of a sudden my stuff rockets up to like 50,000 followers on TikTok, and you know, I think I'm it. You know, oh yeah, great, that's finally happening. You know, I definitely had some ego over that, but that's where my sponsor came in, helped check me, helped me build this thing to where like the only thing I care about when I put out a video is as long as I inspire one person. Anything else is a bonus. So I don't worry about views, likes, click. Like if a video flops, I do not care. Like, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. My only goal is to inspire one person, which we can't lose at that point. We're inspiring one person no matter what. Yeah, man. Right? Yeah. So that helped me a lot. Helped pull the ego out of it. Helped pull my head out of it, and just kind of let God work through me. So I'm here, working in my hometown, living with my grandma, working this great relationship out with my daughter. I mean, making memories with her, and just really feeling what it's like to be a dad. You know what I'm saying? And just having that pride when you look at your kid, like, man, I am so proud that I get to be a part of her life, you know, and just really feeling those feelings, having those intimate moments with her and gaining her trust and seeing what that looks like. And I worked really hard for that, you know. So I get this big bright idea that this town ain't big enough for old Matt Keagan with my 50,000 TikTok followers. I was like, I gotta go move to a big city. I gotta move to a big city, and I'm gonna go do open mics there, and they're gonna listen to my music, and I'm gonna be famous.
And how'd that end for you?
well, I'd love, So in the middle of this, I start helping people get into treatment, right? Because I've seen these recovery influencers do that, and I modeled myself off that. Richie Weber.
How would you help them get into treatment?
Alici. So I would let people know, hey, I can help you. So what that looked like 95% of the time is I'm helping you find this website that can find any place in your state or wherever you're at, right?
Yep.
And mainly people who have Medicaid or don't, I can teach you how to sign up for it, get the Medicaid. If you got Medicaid, we're going to start calling some places that's in your area that can take you. I'm going to get you the numbers. I'm going to coach you through how you call, what you got to say, what you're coming off of, and what that looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then I'm working with a place out of Florida that if somebody has like the right type of insurance and everything's good for them, they can go to this place in Florida. 95% of what I'm doing, I'm driving people to Medicaid places like here in Ohio. Like a lot of things, like what I like to say is like, if you're willing, I will move mountains for you. You know what I mean? Like I'll meet you wherever you're at. Like, but you got to be willing. I can't do it for you. You know what I mean?
We quite often on the show, we built our own community that way, and it's the same thing. If you're willing to do it, right? I'll find somebody wherever they are in the country, United States, and I've linked people up, but you got to be willing to do it, man.
Absolutely, and then just being a conduit, plugging people into other people. You know what I mean? Like,
I got you.
Reach out to somebody, anybody. I don't care who it is. Just go get help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was looking like, man. And that's what I was doing. A lot of time I was like juggling a job, but then like there would be days I'd go drive halfway across the state, pick somebody up, take them to a Medicaid place that I know about. I got relationships with places that will take you in with no insurance, backdate the insurance, and bring you on and sign you up for Medicaid.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Here in the States, treatment is available for anybody who wants to do it. There are resources. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's what I was doing, and that's what I became known as. I became known as the guy that helped people into treatment, the recovery guy, and that was my reputation, and it was solid. I work a good program. I'm open. I'm honest. I share. I let you know the bad things that I go through, the struggles I go through. My sponsor taught me share the good with the bad. I let you know. You know what I mean? And that's what I really wanted to develop, is a real reputation of being that person, walking the talk. You know what I mean? Like
I do, yeah.
Because I see a lot of there are a lot of people in the space who talk a lot, but they don't walk the talk. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to be the guy that walks what he talks. You know, so I was, and then I moved to Columbus, away from my recovery community, away from my sponsor, away from everybody. I get alone and by myself. I'm serving at Texas Roadhouse, and I'm making a good amount of money, and in Columbus, in this busy city. I'm moving with some friends. They're not in recovery, but they're not addicts either. They're just normal people. They can drink a couple times a year and not it turn into a thing. So I get into Columbus, and there just happens to be all these tasty head shops all over the place, all these really sweet, intricate head shops with a bunch of really brand new kratom and all, and I would go in there and flirt with the idea here and there and just look around and just check out. And then I can't remember when it happened, but mind you, I'm still putting out TikToks, I'm still putting out songs. I get plugged in with a producer, I start like putting stuff out professionally. I have a video do like 1.6 million views. I'm closing in on 80,000 followers. Like, it's really the movement's starting to grow. I'm having people reach out to me every day. I'm talking people through stuff all the time, you know, and I break away from all that, stop working my program. I make the platform my God. I make the Texas Roadhouse money my God. I make all that. I put all that priority, and I stop working on myself spiritually, mentally, physically. I stop all that, stop going to meetings, stop calling my sponsor. I got this. I can do this on my own. I'm Matt Keagan. I got a TikTok. It's got 70,000 followers. Maybe you don't know who I am, type shit, you know. So I paid for that presumption with a relapse, you know. And I relapsed while having this platform. I relapsed while helping get people into treatment, and then I started.
How does that look? Are you know you're relapsing, yet you're still doing the things?
Yep, absolutely.
What a horrible feeling that must be.
The worst feeling you can fucking imagine, man. If you want to talk about feeling fake, not being able to look myself in the mirror, not being able to, you know, not having a good opinion of myself, because that's the thing. Is like I have a conscience, you know what I'm saying? And
I've flirted with the idea quite a bit on some bad days, you know, and I man, the thought of it just breaks my heart that, you know, to have to live like that. So I can only imagine, you know. Yeah.
And then I'm like thinking, and I'm going to these head shops, and I'm like, are they going to recognize me? Because every time I go somewhere, I pop up on somebody's For You page. And then of course it does happen. I pop up on their For You page, and they end up asking me, and then I got to tell them I have a recovery platform. I'm relapsed. I'm being a piece of shit right now. I need to buy 3 OPMS extract shots, please. You know, so that's when I got into the extracts of kratom, which are incredibly nasty. I mean, they are highly, highly, highly addictive, nasty withdrawal. They just suck the life right out of you. You know, I was taking 3 of them a day, and then I got into tianeptine. Tianeptine's like an analog precursor to like some sort of SSRI that like acts like kratom, but it's not, but it's legal. I don't know what's going on. You know, it's not, the thing is too, it's like this stuff doesn't like fuck you up. This stuff doesn't like make you drool on yourself. I could take the stuff and go to work, and that's what I did. I was working 60 hours a week at this Roadhouse, and that was my purpose. I was like, I'll take the kratom and go to work, take the kratom and go to work. But then I'm also putting these videos out, also going live, talking about recovery, acting like I'm sober, having to put eye drops in my eyes because my eyes are so red and pinned out, because that's what the kratom makes you look like. You're tore up, you know. So this comes to a head, you know. This comes to a point to where it's like, I am either going to have to tell everybody what happened, or I'm going to kill myself, because I can't take this, you know. And I had a plan. I was like, I'll get fentanyl from somebody, and I'll just go get like a 50 piece of it, and I'll go drive out in the woods and snort the whole 50 piece, and that'll kill me for sure, you know. And that's where I was at. That's how low I was at.
You know what? This is your story, it's not mine, but you just made me think about the last year of active addiction for me. If I didn't have a gram of Fenty with me, I never felt right, and I never did it, but I wanted always to have it with me, just in case that was the day I finally got the guts to do it. What a twisted way of thinking, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if I would sell it because I needed, you know, crack or whatever, and I would feel just awful until I had it with me again, because it was some weird, twisted, comforted feeling to have that with me. You know what I mean, right? Yeah,
that's interesting.
So,
Wow. Okay.
Thinking back to those days.
Fucking,
right?
To me, it's just a demon had possession of my mind. That's the way I look at it, because it was like something else was speaking, thinking, and acting for me. It wasn't me. Why would I want to do this to myself? In reality, it's me now. You know.
Yeah.
So it was either that, or I was talking to my buddy. His name is Dustin. Shout out to Dustin, my boy. We had gotten sober before. He had just relapsed too. And he had been sober for almost 2 years, and he was in a halfway house, and his sponsor had challenged him to do 90 days at this sober living place halfway. And I would talk to him, man, and he didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, but he was so fucking happy. I could hear how happy he was. And here I am, I'm making $1,500 a week cash, got all the money I could think of. I'm making money through TikTok. I'm doing all this stuff. I got brand deals, blah, blah, blah. I'm miserable, dude. I am unhappy. I'm not happy at all. I want to die. And I got 10 times more than him. And then I realized, no, he's got 10 times more than you, motherfucker. I want what he had. And he ended up talking me to go. And I was like, all right, I'm done with Columbus. You know, I paid my last month of rent. I worked for about 3 weeks straight. and I had a bunch of money saved up, and then I went to detox, man, and then I turned my will over, and then I put out a video, and I told everybody what happened. I made a post on Facebook, and then I wrote a song called "I Relapsed."
How tough was that to do?
Terrifying. I thought it was over. This was over. This was done. Me as a recovery influencer, or what I had set out to do with a platform, or what the fuck, like that was dead. That's not going to be a thing anymore. I'm going to have to go find a different job, different means of like what it is that I wanted, a different career path. Like this just ain't going to work, you know? So, and I said, all right, God, if that's what you want, and that's what I have to do. All right, I'm going to follow you. And if we got to dissolve the platform and I lose all this, fine. I trust you. You know, I trust that whatever it is that you're going to have for me will be 10 times better than what this was. And this just wasn't meant to be. So I go to the detox, I go through it, do my thing, get out. And then,
so sorry to interrupt, Matt. In the detox, do you have access to internet and that? So like when I went to detox, you didn't have access to your phone or internet or anything. So
we had, you had access to YouTube in the detox.
Okay. So you could still keep track or post or do whatever you felt you needed to do at that time?
Yep.
Okay.
So I had made the post that I was going, and then I'll be coming back online soon. You know what I mean? So then I went to detox, and then I went to, I ended up getting good, got through it, but it was hard. It was just coming off the kratom shots and the thieneptine too. They were like, when they drug tested me, they were like, what are you even here for? I was like, I'm going to go through some nasty. I had to beg them to do a Suboxone taper because, like, you know, and again, I'm not anti-Suboxone at all, bro. Like, I needed Suboxone. Like, I needed to have that taper. It would have sucked without Suboxone. I had to beg them for it because they didn't have a protocol for kratom or thieneptine. They didn't know what the hell it was. And the withdrawals are nasty, dude. They're just as much as I've been through just about every opiate withdrawal you can have, and kratom is like up there in like the top like 2 worst for me.
No kidding, eh?
Yes,
no kidding.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, you do 3 of the extract shots a day, it's gonna be nasty, dude. It's gonna be real nasty, and it lingered for a while. So get plugged into the halfway house, and you get your phone back immediately. And I just started documenting everything, man. I just started posting about what I was going through, what it was like, you know, how I felt. And then I'd been posting on my Facebook, you know, an artist page I made for like 2.5 years, just posting a recovery meme every day, you know, sharing different things, facets about my life and stuff like that. And it never really did anything, man. I think I had like 1.7 thousand followers for 2.5 years. Okay. And mainly it was all TikTok was where like my traffic came from. You know what I mean? I'd post and go viral on TikTok all the time. And then I ended up posting a video of a song, Subtoxin, that I had put out back in 2021 and or 2022, and I just did a video of it that I did on TikTok, re-uploaded it to Facebook, and it did like 1-point-something million views, you know.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden my Facebook took off, you know. So then I started posting other videos on there, and then they all went viral again, and it kept happening. And then I started making posts, and all of a sudden, like, I'm getting 500, 600, 700 reactions on a post on Facebook that I've been posting on for years. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden, I get people start reaching out to me. Oh, hey, I seen your song. We want you to come perform at this recovery fest. Oh, hey, I want you to come perform at the Monument in Washington. Oh, hey, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, all this stuff starts trickling down. And it's like, I'm like, what the hell happened? How did that happen? I did not expect what? I thought it was over.
Something to do with your authenticity now, maybe, right?
Maybe so, you know. I just look at it as a blessing from God. You know, God, apparently this is what I am meant to do. You know what I'm saying? And then what I walked out of this was that self-knowledge of like, all right, now I know for sure that no matter what, I can't pick up and use anything, because that was my mindset when I first picked up that kratom. It was just going to be like once a month type deal here and there. It wasn't going to be every day. And it was. I did get away with it for like a few months, and then it became every day, slowly. It's slow progression.
I think the first reel of yours I ever saw, which I didn't realize until like yesterday, that it just kind of popped into my memory, was you, some sort of rural background, whether like, or a big backyard. You were talking about how you can't just do something now and again. You only had maybe 6 months clean or something like that at the time. But you were speaking very clearly. I'm the guy that can't pick up substance and do it now and again. I'm the guy that you will start. Do you remember the reel I'm talking about? Or,
absolutely, it was right there. I did it right there. I was actually getting ready to leave for work, and I shot it real quick.
Okay, yeah, that's the first 2 years. I didn't realize it, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, that was that. Oh, fuck yeah, that's right. Eh? Okay, yeah, right. So, but I remember really relating to that. So,
awesome.
Anyway,
it's great. So, man. And then that's that brings us to now. You know, I just performed in Washington right at the Monument. I mean, an electric performance, dude. Like, And I practice real hard too. Like I rehearse for an hour a day, like
Okay,
an hour.
yeah,
I go
yeah.
through my songs over and over and over, and I stand up and I rap to a wall, or I'll rap into a mirror. I pretend I'm on stage. Like I
Yeah.
really, really rehearse the stuff hard. And then
Yeah.
when it came time to
Well, and I
show
think
up,
it's easy for people to think that it's an easy gig. This is all
no,
you're doing.
it's
But
not.
just so
No.
much goes even into a 1 minute reel that people don't realize.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
how much gets you
Oh,
there. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is a full-time
Yeah.
gig, just this by itself. And I'm also working full-time at the Texas Roadhouse,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and I do that to fund everything else that I'm doing, because it costs money to record these songs. It costs money to put out merch. It costs money to,
Damn straight.
and then on top of that, I got to live. I got to take care of my daughter. I help people when they ask, you know what I mean? I need to be available, and I got bills to pay myself, and I put myself in some debt with some credit cards with that Kratom that I'm still digging myself out of. And I'm actually almost there, man. I mean, I've worked my
that'll be a
ass
great
off,
day, eh? That'll be a great day.
Oh,
Right,
when
yeah.
all them cards are paid off, I got them put up. Every time I pay one off, I put it in this little thing and I put it away and I leave it there, and that's what I've done. So I'm getting there.
Nice.
Two more big ones left, and I'm done. So I'm really grateful for that. But now today, I'm just figuring it out, and then I ended up meeting up with Benjamin Lerner. There was some room on that Washington show that had just come open, and I contacted him. I'm like, yo, you want to do this with me, bro? And he's like, absolutely. So he drove 8 hours down. We linked up. He actually went out to dinner with us Friday night, and he met my mom, because I brought like a little posse with me, my mom, my two friends, and my girlfriend at the time. And he came out to dinner, and man, we just all vibed. We had a beautiful dinner Friday night before the event.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
nice, right?
he was so cool in person, man. Like, and we were swapping info. We were like, well, how do you upload in this format? And what do you add on this? You know what I mean? Like, just having all this jargon back and forth.
He's a class act, eh? Yeah, he really is.
He's a class act for sure, man.
Yeah.
Like I vibed with him immediately. Like I felt a serious kinship towards him, and I see a great friendship in the future.
I could see the parallels between you. Like I've reached out to many, many people, through social media to come on the show, and as we've grown and we've got quite the growth happening right now. But Ben was kind of the first guy that just bam responded right away. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah,
right? And yourself, you were the same way. Yeah, I'm in. Right, whatever.
Yep.
And for me, that's like yeah, finally, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
It's just cool that somebody's like, hey, I want you to come on my production show and talk about your story. That's great. Like,
Right,
man, like, you think my story's cool enough to come on to your show that you like invest in and you want to do, and you want me to be a part of that? Absolutely. I'm humbled. That's great. As long as I'm able to do, I'll do these all the time, anytime.
Yeah, well, I sure do appreciate it, man. I really do. Right. So if you had to pick a lesson, if you had to pick one statement to say to the masses, what would it be?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's my favorite one, dude. If I can do this, you can do this. That's
There you
it.
go.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's
Keep it
nothing
simple,
special
eh?
about me. It's just consistency and hard work, and that's the only thing that separates. Because I'm telling you, I have had the door shut in my face a lot over these 5-6 years I've been doing this, and I just kept showing up, and that's why I'm where I'm at today.
Absolutely. How much can I ask? What are you at now for Clean Time? Is that
The
something you share?
28th will be 6 months.
Good for you, man.
Seems
Good
a little
for you.
under,
right?
It seems a lot of people are like, oh, I feel like you should have more. Well, I'd have 3 years.
Yeah, right. So
if I didn't
myself,
get a bright idea.
I don't necessarily share my Clean Time, not because I don't share it, but because I don't keep track the same way, right? I know my date because it coincides with my father's death. So on the 21st, it'll only be a year for me myself, right? But
okay.
The thing with counting Clean Time is like, okay, so I relapsed. Does that mean I lose all that time beforehand? Right. And so that's kind of where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start living for today. And that's it. Right. I'm not going to worry about what's behind me. Right. But, but yeah, it's still early myself too. Right. I'm less than a year.
I still have those 2 years. I still carry the wisdom and the knowledge and
that's
experience.
it. You don't lose that time.
I still have
right?
that.
Yeah. Recovery's not a straight path.
For 2 straight years.
Right?
That's okay. That's okay. I'm all right with that.
It's not a linear path. Recovery's just not. Right.
No, not at all.
No. So absolutely. But I really got to thank you, man, which brings me to my favorite part of the show, and that's the Daily Gratitudes. Today's Daily Gratitudes are brought to you by Revolution Recovery, helping men recover and become their best selves through support and treatment. They've been there, and they understand. What you got for some Daily Gratitudes, Matt?
Daily Gratitudes. I just did a list today, man. One I always like to pick up on is just the relationship I have with God, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for what God's done in my life. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity that I have to help other people and inspire people through music and through a platform. Like that's a dream come true. Like one day I'm going to get to do this full time. And that's just something I've always dreamed about doing. And that's wonderful. You know, the health of my family's healthy and happy. I have healthy relationships. I have an excellent fellowship. Both my sponsors, man, I got a car, I got a license, bro. We can go down the nitty. I got air conditioning, I got electricity. Man, I got a lot to be grateful for today, bro.
The things you don't take for granted anymore, right?
That's right. That's right.
True story. And for myself, of course, I got to be grateful to you for coming on, man. Like this is, I really do appreciate you taking the time. We got busy lives, and I get it.
Grateful that you had me on today, man. This was great.
Yeah. Thank you. And for my final gratitude, it goes out to you, the listeners, the watchers, the supporters, all of you guys. Whatever you're doing, please keep doing it. It's working. We keep growing day over day, month over month. If you see us on any one of the social platforms, I don't even list them off anymore. I'm on literally all of them. If you see the logo, do a like, comment, share. We love those things, especially on Spotify. Drop a comment, please. We do enjoy that. Anytime you do any one of these things, you're getting me a little bit closer to living my best life. My best life is to make a humble living, spreading the message. The message is this: if you are in active addiction right now, today could be the day. Today could be the day that you start that lifelong journey. Reach out to a friend, reach out to a family member, call into detox, go to a meeting, do whatever the hell it is you need to do to get that journey started, because it is so much better than the alternative. And if you are the loved one of somebody who's suffering addiction right now, just taking the time to listen to our conversation, if you just take one more minute out of your day and text that person, let them know they're loved. Use the words,
"You are loved."
That little glimmer of hope just might be the thing that brings them back.
Yes.